Okay guys, today Good Friday by the way. Today I'm going to show you how I make my beef jerky. First thing I do is I start out with a London broil. This is a little over 2 pounds. It's a 2-pound London broil. It's thawed right now, so what I'm going to do, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in the freezer. And the reason I put it in the freezer is to stiffen it up so it gets somewhat hard, somewhat frozen. And I'll show you why that's important later. So first thing I'm going to do is shove this in the freezer. That's got to stay in there for about an hour, hour and a half. Now there's 2 different kinds of marinades that I use. They're both from Lawry's. One is a Caribbean jerk. And the one I'm using today, is a steak and chop. Now I already got the marinade going, so let me show you what I do here. I got it on the stove here. You want to heat it up to just before boiling. You don't want it to be boiling. You just want it to get it really, really warm. And I just shut it off. And then you take some crushed red peppers. Crush them up as you put them in. I do usually about 3 little handfuls, about like that. Now the reason you want to heat the marinade up is because with these crushed red peppers, when they get in the heat, when they get in there, they tend to open up and pop, and then all the heat gets mixed in evenly into the marinade, to where if you just put the crushed red peppers in a marinade and then just try to put it on the meat, it's only going to be hot wherever it sticks to the meat. But this way the marinade is warm, put in the crushed red peppers, those seeds will all pop open and the flavor will spread through the entire marinade. Now while that's cooling back down to room temperature, the steak is freezing, so in about an hour or so I will take the steak out and then we'll start cutting it. By that time this should be down to room temperature, and then we'll go from there. Okay guys, so it's been about an hour. The meat's pretty stiff. I'll show you why that's important. Here's the marinade that I warmed up on the stove, put the peppers in. Take this, put it all in a bowl. I'll try to get as much out as you can, because you're going to need most of it. Okay, there's that. Now, the only other thing that I do is I take some Worcestershire sauce. And I just do about that much. And then you got to mix it all together. You got to mix this good, because it takes a little bit for the Worcestershire sauce to get mixed in with the marinade. Keep cutting it through to get it mixed in there. You can kind of see the pepper flakes. Alright. So now we're going to get to cutting the meat. Okay, now the reason you wanted to put it in the freezer is to get it hard, because if you're trying to cut, you'll see how thin we need to cut this. But first thing you want to do is all this fat that's on here, you want to get rid of that. So you want to cut the fat off, because you really don't want fat inside of jerky. You don't need to get it all off, you just want to get pretty much as you can off. Make sure this is still recording. Yeah, okay. Alright, once you get all the fat off of here, you're going to want to cut. There's a little bit more. Alright, there we go. We should be good there. You're going to want to cut it across the grain, so you're going to want to cut the strips this way. And you want to try to get as thin as possible. These first couple ones are going to be small. You just want to cut it like about 1/8 of an inch thick. Like that. The thinner the better. And you just go all the way down the steak. Now see, with the steak being hard and frozen, it doesn't move that much when you go to cut it. If this was thawed out, refrigerator temperature, this would be almost impossible to cut this thin. But since it's been in the freezer, it's hardened it up a bit. And you want it just about like that thick. Because once this cooks, it's going to get thinner, which is what you want. You want nice thin pieces of meat. So when you cut them now, you want to cut them about 1/8 of an inch. I'm using a fillet knife, which is really sharp, which helps it cut better too. You want to try to get a nice sharp knife so you can get nice thin pieces of meat. Fat off there. You can fast forward this if you want to the end. That's what I usually do. Now once you get down to here, you want to start at the other end because you're going to have little pieces there, and those are going to be hard to cut if you only got a little piece to hold on to. So it's better if you flip it around. As you get down to the end, it does get a little bit more difficult to cut. I'll cut this fat off here because you got less to hold on to. That's where it being kind of stiff also helps too. Last couple are usually a little bit tricky. be pretty good as it is. There'll be one thick piece in there. Give it a little scrape off the bottom there. I'll get rid of that. Alright, there's your meat. Now we're going to take the marinade. Make sure this is in. You just want to start putting it in. I'm going to let the water run a little bit here. And then just one piece at a time, get it in. Put several in. Like so. And then you want to mix it up. You want to make sure the meat gets in that marinade. Gets in there soaking. And just kind of spread it out. You're going to want to mix it up every now and then. Get that meat in that marinade. Yeah, it's mixing in there real nice, real good. Get that in there so that meat can absorb that flavor. You can see this 2-pound steak makes quite a bit of jerky. Ends up making quite a bit. Because once you cut it into the thin strips like that, makes quite a bit. Almost done here. These are the little pieces from the end, which you can still use. They don't have to be the long strips. Alright, there we go. That's all the meat in there. So now what you want to do, you want to mix it in real good. And then you want to kind of try to push it down to get the meat in there the best you can. Let it try to cover up all the way around. You want to get that in there to soak in real good, just like that. Alright, that's basically it for the next couple hours. I'm going to cover this and then I'm going to put it in the fridge for probably about like 3.5 hours. I'm gonna come back about an hour and a half and just mix it up just to get the flavor mixed up in the meat again. But I'll be back in about 3 hours or so and we'll start putting it in the hydrator. Okay guys, so this stuff has been marinating for about 4 hours now. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put it on these trays, which is for my dehydrator. Now I got these 4 trays in the sink. I sprayed them with Pam, a light coat of Pam, because that helps the meat come off when it's done. Now, what I'm going to do, a lot of people pat this off. I don't. The reason I don't do that is because when it cooks, the leftover juice and everything absorbs into the meat, and then at the end, once it's all absorbed, it creates a hard crust at the end of the process. So what I do is I just lay these out. This was like almost a 2¼ pound steak, which will take approximately 4 trays in my dehydrator. So I'm going to set them down on here, leave a little gap in between so the air can flow, and you don't want to block up this center thing either, because that's mainly where the air comes. So you just want to go all around the sides. And if you pat them off too, you take off the crushed red pepper flakes. Basically what I do is I just kind of fill a tray up, set them out accordingly, keep the middle open the best that I can. Keep a gap in there. Now, what I'm going to do is after each tray is full, I'm just going to take it and set it in the dehydrator here. And they stack up. They just stack one on top of one another. Alright, so there we go. We got 3 trays on there. I'm going to take the top, make sure these trays are all seated on top of one another just like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this on high. It's on high. It's going to be about a 5.5 hour cook, 5 hour cook, give or take. Halfway through I'm going to rotate the trays. It just helps it cook more evenly. So 5.5 hours from now I'll show you when it's done. I mean, as you can see, they're a little bit moist. They're going to look a lot different at the end. So 5.5 hours from now I'll talk to you again. Okay guys, it's been just about 5 hours. These look real good right here. So now they've been cooking on high for about 5 hours. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, turn it down to the fan only. And what that's going to do, it's going to blow all the heat out of there. It's going to blow all the moisture out of there. And let it cool off a little bit. I'm going to leave that on the fan only for probably about a half hour or so. Half hour, 40 minutes. Let it cool on down, get all the moisture out of it, and then I'll take them out, and we'll see what they look like later. Okay guys, here we go. Done. Nice and crispy. Usually now I'm just going to take these and I'll set them out on a paper towel here. They're all nice and cool now. See, spraying that Pam on these things makes them come off real easy. They don't stick. So I'm just going to take them all off. There you go. There's a batch of jerky. Good stuff there, man. And that's how you do it. Gonna put those in a bag, and we're done.